Joburg Water has announced plans for tougher water restrictions in some high-demand areas.
Operations Manager Logan Munsame says bursts and leaks account for 24% of water loss.
The utility briefed the media earlier on what it describes as aggressive interventions to tackle water supply challenges.
In terms of our interventions, we've stepped up our game. There's aggressive interventions that we've already started in place. Some of the initiatives are the permanent reduction of water supply to prepaid and deemed consumption areas. That's already in place. We do that typically by, throttling and closing of certain high demand areas within that area. There's also scheduled water restrictions which we've started to implement as at 8 November 2024, which we've communicated quite extensively in terms of reducing the demand. In terms of our repairs and maintenance, we have a strategy that we've implemented to improve our turnaround times from 48 hours to 24 hours. Now, when you note that 48 hours, that's currently in terms of our service standard. But in the main, look, we operate slightly below that. It's not always that we go, within 48 hours or above that. There are certain cases, but in order to get to 24 hours to reduce our losses specifically and our turnaround times to improve, we are now in process of speeding up procurement contracts for repairs to pipelines, critical materials that we want to stock up in stores in addition to what we currently have. And then obviously there's a labor component. These are manned jobs, so we are looking at reallocating extra budget for overtime and so forth. And then there's supplementary services. We have steel pipelines in our system. Not all repairs are plastic pipes or HDP pipes or AC pipes for that matter. We're procuring additional welding services because in CBD specifically and parts of Old Rudaport, there's steel pipelines that are compromised. They require welding and fabrication. In addition to that, we are procuring additional 10 TLBs. TLBs are essentially what we use to excavate to get to a pipe. Those are the yellow machine that one sees along the roadsides. So we're improving the capacity of our machinery to support our teams as well in terms of our turnaround. And then what we call is improving our first line response teams. We have certain functions within our networks depots where we're aiming, and we currently are in that process. We started a while back where we want to isolate bursts to save water, at least within the first hour or so. If we can isolate most or every burst within the hour, we curb that water lost through the burst.
All right, for more on the state of water supply in the city of Johannesburg, we're joined by SABC News reporter Monique Lewis. Monique, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on The Full View. So we just heard there, Joburg Water outlining interventions to mitigate future water outages. Can you share some of those interventions?
Well, thank you, Mfunda, and to your viewers this evening. During the media briefing, we also just found out that, as you can also hear that, the senior manager of Joburg Water also reiterated that the fact that the main condition or the main factor, or one of the main factors I can say of the water infrastructure or the slow decrease or supply in water infrastructure is due to the weather conditions, which means that we've been having high temperatures, which also needs a high demand and supply of water. Yes.
So at the heart of it, according to them, it would be the erratic weather patterns, but anything about the aging infrastructure, did they touch on that at all?
Yes, they did touch on that. He did Joburg Water touched on the fact that 22 of their reservoirs are decaying, and in the first quarter of next year, they are planning to refurbish all 22 of their reservoirs.
Out of the 87?
Yes.
And then beyond this, what else did they have to say about the level restrictions, or rather the water restrictions at this point that many people have been experiencing? What are they planning to do in that respect?
So water restrictions have been and are still staying at level 1, and he has also urged residents to actually, what could I say, like use water sparingly, you know, because with the water restrictions that are put in place is the reason why we need to keep water sparingly because we have running out of water. And water is a basic need of which we do not have currently. Residents in Westbury, Coronationville, Melville and surrounding areas in the province do not have water. Some haven't had water from 6 to 9 days, sorry. However, they did say that they will try and make sure that residents do get water, and they've reiterated the fact that residents must comply with the level 1 restrictions, which means reducing of car washing, also reducing of the sprinklers outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
We understand they also touched on the illegal connections, and they seem to be ramping up efforts to address that.
Yes, he also mentioned that they will be conducting a raid in the Joburg South. He did not specify the date, time and when specifically, but he did say there is a force with the together with law enforcement and the South African Police Services to disconnect all illegal connections, be it in the low class, middle class or high class areas.
All right, Monique, thank you very much for that update. That is Monique speaking to us there on just the very latest from Joburg Water. Well,